Welcome, everybody, to Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics, and on this week's show, we are talking Roadhouse and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Two big films coming out this week, and joining me to talk about those is my homie, Chris Bumbray, JoeBlow.com. What up, Chris?
Hey, dude.
What's up, man? You look a lot better this week than last time. So,
Thank you. Feel
yeah,
better.
yeah, that's good. I'm happy you feel better, man. All right, so I had to have you on here to talk about Roadhouse. You and I die-hard fans of the original Roadhouse. I love
Yeah,
it to death.
to say the least.
Right. It's God tier action movie for me.
Yeah, man.
There's no other movie like it. I wasn't really all that pissed when they decided to do a remake of it. Like I just kind of was like, the original's still going to be great, and whatever. As long as it's not brick mansions, it'll be fine. Like it won't.
As long as it wasn't the Point Break remake.
Right.
To me, that's one of the worst remakes of all time.
It's terrible.
And that's a tough one. I was more opposed to them remaking because Roadhouse, I could see how you might have fun with it, but Point Break, I always felt they should do a sequel with Keanu Reeves because he's still around, and Catherine Bigelow was always a missed opportunity.
Right.
Roadhouse, though, Swayze is passed on, and unfortunately. And when I heard it was going to be Jake Gyllenhaal and Doug Liman, I was like, okay, well, that's a much more interesting group than I thought it would be. And when the trailer came out, I was super sold, and I was pretty excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear how you feel about this one. So it follows a lot of the same plot as the original, except Jake Gyllenhaal. He plays Dalton. He's an ex-UFC fighter who goes to this, who's in Florida. He's hired to be a bouncer at this Florida bar, and of course, it looks pretty cool by day, but by night, it turns into it's a nightly battle royale. There, basically, his version of Dalton is not the same
No,
as Patrick Swayze.
he's not like a Zen master.
He's not the Zen Buddhist that is. He's not like he's not like total aggro like it seems like 90% of the people in that town are. But but he's definitely not somebody who's like averse to conflict. Let's put it that way.
He's like the movie The Quiet Man, almost like it's the same plot. Like he's nice guy looking for a nice place to be. My problem with the movie, though, and I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I was really excited to see it, and I still liked it, but it just wasn't. I thought it was going to be like an A+ action movie, and it was for me. It was like a B level movie.
Right.
I thought that when he gets started killing, he was a little too proficient and like ready to kill, which wasn't the case with the Swayze character. The Swayze character kind of killed by accident, in the movie and didn't like killing. Killed a couple people, but it wasn't like he was trying not to, and it was more like of an accident when he did it.
I mean, when he tore the guy's throat out, that was pretty deliberate.
I feel like he didn't do it deliberately. I thought he did it in the heat of battle. Like when I watched that movie, like he was, and he kind of realizes
I think the guy had earned it though at that.
Yeah.
Point.
He kind of like realizes what he's done after that scene. Like, oh no, he almost regrets killing him.
That was a kill or be killed situation also.
The only scene in the movie where he kills somebody in cold blood kind of is when he returns the knife that the guy used to kill Sam Elliott, right? I've studied this movie. I've watched it over and over and over again. Roadhouse, though, he's almost like he's still proficient to killer towards the end, right? Where it's like, I didn't buy this, like he's a UFC fighter, like he hasn't really killed before. He killed in the ring, but it was an accident. He was a little too quick to get into like murdering people, and that was a little like, to me, that didn't really land so well.
I think there's a lot for Gyllenhaal's version of Dalton. There's a lot of he doesn't care anymore aspect.
Yeah.
And I think I think he started to come out of it as he became close to the people in town. But by the end of the movie, after being fucked with for basically the entire film, he had gone back to I don't give a shit anymore.
But that kind of made me, that made it less of a fun movie, though. Like that was like
a fun movie. I mean, there are aspects of it that are gritty and kind of serious. It still doesn't always take itself too seriously. And I point to that scene where he's fighting Conor McGregor, and
that's a great scene. That's what made the movie.
This piano's out of tune, or he's getting his head bashed into the keys. Like it makes jokes like that, so it doesn't always take itself seriously. But a lot of the movie is it's definitely a much grittier movie than the first one. The first one is like just a totally bizarre, surreal world that these people exist in that doesn't even feel like it's on this earth. Like that's
Well,
like
and even
how
like
crazy
every
it was.
scene in the original, there's some hot chick pulling her shirt off, like that, just to
Right.
go, woo, and it was, and I love that. And I
Yeah,
love
you
that.
got the blind singer there. How
Jeff
people
Healy, a
throw
Canadian
bottles at
icon.
him. Yeah.
Canadian icon Jeff Healy. And my father, when I was growing up, he had a Playboy issue, a special Playboy issue that was called The Girls of Roadhouse. And it was all like nude spreads of all like the random chicks in the movie.
They
Like
had
the
a
one
lot
that
of hot random
was
chicks in that movie.
yeah, and it was super hot, and that's one of the things that was a movie that I loved, growing up. A lot of it was because of the nudity
Yeah.
and the action. But no, I mean this one is different, and I mean the fact that the town he's in is called Glass Key, which is a Dashiell Hammett novel, like that really they're going for a noirish tone,
Yeah.
which kind of works at times. When it started to lose me though is when they started when they're on the boat and there's like boat chases and explosions that are done badly. That's when it really started to lose me because it's like
It looks like a
you don't
streaming movie at that point, right?
yeah, you don't need this. It looked like Lift, like you don't need that in a movie like this where it should have just been the fights. And there's not as much action as I thought there would be. There's nowhere near as much action as in the first movie.
No.
But I liked Conor McGregor as the villain. I thought the fight scene at the end was great, and
I
I
like Billy
liked
Magnuson
Gyllenhaal.
as the like the heelish magnate guy.
I couldn't stand him. I think you're supposed to, but I found him very unmemorable, especially compared to Ben Gazzara in the original.
Ben Gazzara is
Um,
better, but yeah.
yeah, but I thought that Gyllenhaal was great. Gyllenhaal was great as Dalton. Looked great. Looked like a UFC fighter, with kind of the thinner arms and very lean. And I thought the fight scenes, even though they were limited, were well done. So I enjoyed it. It just wasn't like a train roller coaster ride of a movie like I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's just not the unhinged movie that the first one is. The first one is like somebody wrote it on acid. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and
what
that's
the
what's so
first one.
great about it, though. It's
Yeah,
just
that's what makes it amazing. It's amazing. It's like I said in my real action for it, it's an experience. It's not just a movie. It's an
the
experience.
thing about Roadhouse, though, people don't understand, and it's like that whenever you make a movie that's that balls to the wall, is that when it comes out, people aren't going to get it at first, which is what happened with Roadhouse. Like it wasn't really that big of a hit when it came out. It was a modest performer, but it was one of those movies that it just became such a staple of cable and stuff. Like that's where I saw it
Yeah,
for the first
yeah,
time.
me too.
And you just watched it over and over and over again. And whenever it was on, you're like, oh, Roadhouse. And you'd ended up watching some of Roadhouse, right? Like you couldn't turn it off if it was on. And then I love there's that also the famous story about how, the Murray brothers, every time it's on, Kelly Lynch gets a phone call because
Mitch
she's married.
Glaze was her husband.
Yeah, yeah, it's their best friends. Like your wife is fucking Patrick Swayze right now on
Right,
TV.
yeah, yeah. It's a
But
funny
she
story.
was, and just the way she looked too. She's the doctor and she's wearing like these mini skirts with like her, this amazing body out.
This is
Like,
Missouri, by the way, Phil, because this is like
oh, I know, and it's so good. And everybody in the bar looks like a Playboy playmate, like it's just like and they probably were, or penthouse pets,
yeah,
and it was just that kind of vibe, which no movie would dare to do now because you imagine the think pieces, they'd be like, the male gaze is very obvious in Roadhouse, like it would be like that
yeah.
kind of, well, I will say this though.
You're staring more at Gyllenhaal's abs in this movie than it is.
Yeah, and McGregor's ass is the only thing you see in terms of
Right,
skin.
right.
Although Jessica Williams is much sexier of a bar owner than Kevin Teague was.
For sure. Jessica Williams is awesome. And
She's
so is Danielle Melchior, but I felt
oh,
like
she is. She has
I felt
beautiful
like
eyes too. Yeah.
yeah, she's fine. I felt like Gyllenhaal had the best physical chemistry with McGregor though. So
Oh, I mean, that's also classic Roadhouse too, though, because there's that homoerotic vibe in the original Roadhouse, both between Sam Elliott's character, Ben Gazzara's character, and Swayze's character,
I
and then
really missed the Sam
Marshall
Elliott.
McTeague.
I really missed the Sam Elliott character type in this movie
The
too.
movie needed that. It needed that kind of wizened mentor guy to give you the stakes. But I also feel like they wouldn't have killed him off in this too. They would have been too like because they're all like, oh, we have to build the franchise. Like even the post-credit stinger at the end was like it makes you roll your eyes because it's like you can't commit to anything,
Yeah,
right?
I know. I know.
Like it's
All
like
that
now we
said,
have to
though,
have this
all
extended
that
you.
said, though, I know we are talking a lot about the things that are wrong with it, but I want to make it a point to say that I did like this movie a lot.
Me too. No, I did. I recommend watching it. We were sending off emails or off the site, before between me, Burge, and John, the three of us who, run the site. And John hated it. He didn't like it at all. And he was like to Burge, like, oh, don't bother watching it. And I was like, no, no, you should definitely watch it. Just keep your expectations in check because it's not an amazing movie, but it's an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'll never watch it again. I'm sure I will watch it again. Like I'll have a couple drinks, put it on. And it also might be one of those movies that gets better the more you watch it. Like it might be like that. It might turn out to be that kind of movie,
Like the
just like
original Roadhouse. The original Roadhouse got better the more you watched it. But
yeah. So who knows? Maybe in
maybe.
5 years we'll be like, oh, it's actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, I do think I do think it's really good. I find it funny. I think Gyllenhaal's fantastic, and the final fight is almost worth it. Like
Yeah, the final fight's great.
really good. Conor McGregor's a lot of fun throughout the whole thing. So there's a
Yeah, I mean,
lot to like about
so over the top, but that's exactly what the movie needed.
it. Needed that over the top. I like a lot of things about it. It's just you can't go in comparing it to the original, otherwise you will walk away disappointed. It's just it's an
There's never gonna be
incredible.
another Roadhouse though, like the original, like that, just that kind of movie. It's so Joel Silver, 1989, fucking Playboy going in there. About Roadhouse. It's such a period, like pure 1989 Joel Silver kind of cocaine and mullets movie.
Yeah,
Like it's like, there's so many movies of that era too. Like it'll never be like peak 1989. I watched that movie. The James Bond movie License to Kill is the same thing with that Michael Kamen score and
yeah,
that sheen, that like shot in Mexico City kind of look, like it's like there's something, Lethal Weapon 2 is like that. Michael Kamen also scored all these movies too. Like it's got that classic vibe, of that era.
right.
It's the quintessential 1989 action movie.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, Roadhouse is available for streaming on Prime Video now. I think we both recommended to different degrees. I
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
recommend
It's two
Chris
thumbs up still, but it's just, it's just not, I mean,
keep your expectations in check, folks. Especially if
it's not the original Roadhouse, and it's not as iconic and silly.
like I said, that movie is an experience. This is a movie. So
I don't think Jake Gyllenhaal could get away in this movie saying like pain don't hurt. Like he wouldn't be able to get away with it like
you
Swayze
have to
could.
have a certain yeah. You have to
He
have a
got
certain kind of you have to have a certain kind of vibe that Swayze was on that almost no, I don't know any other actor who was ever quite like that.
Yeah, it's weird
So,
because he's not playing it as a joke. He's playing it seriously, but also like with like a twinkle in his eye. Like there's something, he was really one of a kind, right? Like that, like, I couldn't see anybody else doing Dirty Dancing either. I couldn't see anybody else playing Bodhi. I couldn't see anybody else doing Ghost. Like it's just, he was that, like you said, he was on that vibe for like that 5 year period
yep.
where it was like nobody else was doing anything like that.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's move on to our second movie, which is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This one finds the action moving to back to New York City. Chris, I can't express to you how important that is that it's back in New York City. It makes
Yeah,
it's so much. I like Ghostbusters Afterlife perfectly fine. But for me, this one was superior immediately as soon as they were back in New York City. There's just
it's
something about
interesting.
the connection between the Ghostbusters in New York that it needs it. I don't want it set anywhere else. If they do Ghostbusters in Vegas next time, I'll be pissed. Don't do it. Stay where you are. I'm gonna say it straight up. I really enjoyed this. It finds them battling a supernatural entity who thrust New York into basically a new ice age almost. Um, I really had a lot of fun with this, and I wasn't sure what to expect from it. I should have known that it'd be better just because Gil Keenan's a better director than Jason Reitman, but that's
Oh, I don't agree. I mean,
well, I'll put Monster House over just about anything Jason
I
Reitman
think
does,
Monster House is his
other than
best
Up in
movie.
the Air.
And he even did like a pretty good Poltergeist remake. Like it was better than it had any right to be.
He's better
But
at this type of movie than Jason Reitman is. I'm not saying he's better
I
than
don't
overall at everything.
I don't know because I loved Afterlife and I liked the whole like American Graffiti meets Ghostbusters vibe in that movie. It was the thing about this one, I didn't mind it, like it was mixed on it, but I've seen it twice now. So I saw it by myself at a special screening a couple weeks ago because I did the junket. So they did a screening in Montreal where it was literally just me in a small theater, and the security guard watching me watch the movie. And I didn't really like it when I saw it. Like I gave it a 6 on 10. But then last night I was dragged there by some friends who are huge Ghostbusters fans. It's my friend
Right.
Danny and his wife Sarah, and they were dressed up in their Ghostbusters gear, right? And
A lot
then
of
and then
people dressing up like that in our screen.
yeah, and the screening was full of people dressed as Ghostbusters, and I had a blast watching it with the crowd last night. Like the people were really into it and they enjoyed it. I liked it a lot more. Yeah, I think it's fun. Like my problem with the movie is I don't like CGI villains, so I didn't like Garaga. I think you need that human avatar. My friend thinks that it was maybe stop motion, but I think you need the human avatar like Zool had or like Vigo had. I don't really. I thought there was way too much world building. Everything involving kind of the Men in Black meets Ghostbusters thing that Winston's gang is on. I loved Winston in it, but like when that British guy and Celeste O'Connor's character, like I was bored with all that. And
Okay. I like.
Nanjiani, I didn't love the first time I saw it, but I liked him a lot more when I watched it the second time. Like his arc landed more the second time I saw it. Um, but to me, again, it was too much extended universe stuff.
My cat's being a pain in the butt. Get out
I
of
don't know.
here.
It was a lot of extended universe stuff, and I kind of wish they'd focused more in on McKenna Grace's character. And I find like Finn Wolfhard had nothing to do in the movie.
He really did not have much of a
Yeah,
role. He got slimy.
yeah, like was on set for like a week or something. Like he was barely in it.
Yeah.
Um, but then it's fun to see Dan Aykroyd have a bigger role. It's funny that it's Ernie Hudson's biggest role in the Ghostbusters franchise to date, and
I
he
like
always
the
got
fact that he's been more prominent these last couple
well,
movies.
he always got the shaft. And as my friend was telling me last night, he is probably the best classically trained actor of the gang, because he's the us character. He's the one you relate to because he's the one who's the only one who's not like a scientist.
Doesn't really feel like that anymore, though. Now he's a politician.
No. Yeah, and that kind of I
So
don't
it
I
doesn't
don't
really feel like that anymore.
I don't love that either. I kind of miss him being the everyman. But the thing is also somebody's
Dan
got to pay.
Aykroyd's character actually feels like more like the everyman now than he does to me. So
Well, during Ernie Hudson's like paying his rent and stuff like that, like
right,
it's
Dan Aykroyd's character is just like I'm just here because I like doing this Ghostbusting stuff.
but I
So
do like having, and it's fun to see Bill Murray, even though the role's small. And like one of the scenes that he was
I
supposed
thought
to
they're
be
gonna
in.
kill him, but not to spoil anything. But I thought they're gonna kill him anyway. I thought he was there for a one last ride. Harrison Ford has Han Solo thing.
Yeah, and then stop calling me to be in these movies.
Right.
I feel like he would have done that. I think the problem is I don't think he can get insurance anymore on movies because of that little thing where he assaulted that woman,
I know.
you know,
Yeah.
and ended up getting a $50 million movie shut down at a loss for the studio. I think that affects your insurance. So
Yes.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
the only thing he's still doing Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed all the stuff between Carrie Coon and Paul Rudd. We were kind of
Me
figuring
too.
out his place in the family. I thought that was really good. I thought them teasing a queer romance for McKenna Grace's character.
It chickened out a little bit though at the end.
Yeah, I think they did, but I think they set her on the path. So if they do more movies,
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I think that was a good thing. I like that.
I liked that was
Agree with you
probably
there.
one of my favorite parts of the movie, the relationship between her and the ghost, because it was the only thing that I felt really kind of emotionally connected to.
Yeah, it needed something, some sort of an emotional anchor because you didn't have the Egon thing this time really, so you
No.
kind of needed something to add a little bit of heart
It
to it.
does feel like it would be cruel to keep all those ghosts contained in that unit, though, right? Like, ooh.
I mean, yeah, but it was interesting that they were like, so they've just been kind of sitting here since like 1984 or something.
Yeah, like what kind of hell is that? I mean, I guess they're mostly bad, but like, like it's kind
Then
of
again, they probably aren't mostly bad. They're probably most of them are just wandering spirits. But
I never got that what exactly they are though. Like Slimer, was he human at some point or like is he a demon? Like I don't get it. Like I don't know always what
like
like the
Slimer's not necessarily bad.
No, he's not bad. He's
He
good in the
shows up and
movie.
eats. He shows up and eats shit. You know,
Yeah.
and so it's not like. So does he need to get pulled into that kind of
But they keep trying to put
supernatural
him into the trap. He keeps getting out, but they keep
that
trying to put him in.
purgatory? I don't know. Why is he the one they can't seem to catch? Like
Yeah, yeah, he's too smart for them.
Why
You
has
know,
he
it's
gotten fatter too? He's gotten a lot bigger and a lot more grotesque, by the way. He didn't used to look like that. So
he needs. I think Slimmer needs Ozempic.
he needs something. Whatever like supernatural Ozempic there is, he probably needs.
A little dose. Sweet.
What did you think of Kumail Nanjiani in this? I thought he was a lot of fun. He was probably
I
one,
at
probably my
first
favorite character in the whole movie.
At first, I felt he was eating up screen time that should have gone to the other Ghostbusters, but then I watched it again and I liked him more. Like, I think he's the thing about Nanjiani is I think Nanjiani is a great actor. I think he gets typecast like crazy though.
Yeah,
And it's funny because I saw him in this miniseries he did, Welcome to Chippendales, and he was awesome.
yeah.
And it's like people don't really give him the room to like grow as an actor, I think. And he said something interesting too in an interview, and he acknowledged this. He said that he gets cast in the same role every time because they won't let him play a bad guy because he's a minority. And he said he's not being allowed to play a bad guy. He says that he'll never be allowed to have a career like Sebastian Stan's, like, which is sad because he's a great actor. And he did Welcome to Chippendales. He kept saying how they wanted to soften that character because he was the bad guy, and he was like, "No fucking way." The guy was terrible.
Yeah.
And I hope he gets to expand beyond that at some point because I'd like to see him play a wider variety of roles.
Yeah.
Because they always cast him as the lovable guy,
It
like
might
the
have to be a film that or a project that he sets up for himself.
it will. I'm curious about his Insidious movie, and I'm hoping that is lets him do, if he gets to do what like Patrick Wilson did in Insidious and like really play like up that kind of role, like that could be great for him. I'd like to see him do that because I think he's legitimately a great actor.
I think I mean, he's really good in The Big Sick, which requires him to do
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
not just,
people couldn't pull that off. We have to be like likable, but he was, he wrote that for himself, so he allowed himself to get,
yeah,
that's much more complicated character than he would play in the studio version of that movie, though.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't mind the villain being CGI, whatever the hell he was. I didn't mind that so much because he wasn't in the movie that much. So it
But that was
didn't,
a problem too, though. Like I felt like he just kind of it's interesting though. I went back and I rewatched the second Ghostbusters because I hadn't seen it since like the 90s. And it's like that wasn't that great either.
it's not a very good movie. No, it's not. The second one's not very good.
Has its moments, but it wasn't great either.
Yeah, no, it's not very good. So that didn't really bother me so much. I felt like everything going on around him was more important than the villain itself.
Yeah.
So that didn't really bother me. And I
But
feel
I
like
just
that's I feel like that's the way with all the Ghostbusters. The first Ghostbusters, doesn't really have like the really long-term villain that they're going against constantly, constantly, constantly.
no, but it has the thing about the first one though is it has more of a feeling of threat and it's more ominous. Like because the thing about it was that they directed the first movie not necessarily as a comedy. It was more like as a horror sci-fi comedy,
Yeah.
and it wasn't geared towards children. It was geared towards an adult audience, which hasn't been the case for any of the other Ghosts.
This one is very all ages.
Oh, and
There's a
kids
lot of all those ice spikes coming up everywhere. Nobody gets gutted, and nobody.
kids are gonna love it too. They were running around the theater with their proton packs, and my 40-year-old friend was running after them with his proton pack. So it was, it's for all ages for sure.
Yeah, it's an all ages franchise now, which is fine. And I feel like
Yeah.
Gary Keenan's a good guy to direct that sort of thing. Like I said, I always point to Monster House, but I think that's
I mean, Monster House is a really
one of
good
the
movie.
best
Yeah.
animated movies of the last 30, 40 years. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like the vibe of this movie is very much like that one. So he's good at blending horror and comedy. So I like him for this kind of thing. If they did another one and he was directing it, I'd be very happy with it.
I'll be curious to see how it does at the box office.
Yeah, the first one did okay. It did okay. I
You know what I
imagine,
hope that Ernie Hudson does next, though? I hope he does another Oz series.
I hope he does like the Substitute 8 or whatever it is. I don't know.
Oh, he died in The Substitute.
Did he die? I don't even remember. Did he die?
Yeah, he gets killed. He's the bad guy in The Substitute, and he goes like that, and
That's right.
breaks his nose into his
That's
brain.
right. Well, they do a Substitute prequel.
They never that
How
was
he
another
became.
movie that should have spawned like the franchise went direct to video too soon. Like I felt like Behringer should have done more of those. Like it was because those like I feel like now he totally would.
The Substitute's pretty cool. Like I like that movie.
That Substitute's great with Mark Anthony as one of the bad guys. The Substitute's great. Ernie Hudson as the villain, and that was peak Ernie Hudson.
And it used to be on HBO all the time. Like
My God, I watched that
every
movie.
other day. It was on HBO.
We got to do a real action on it. I watched it over and over again. Are you kidding?
That would be a good one to do. Like
Yeah.
the substitute would be a good one to do.
William Forsythe always playing like the same kind of like scumbaggy, but not really a scumbag role. Like
Yeah.
it was, oh man, Shale. Remember that was Tom Berenger's name in it, Shale. I remember loving that movie.
Oh man.
And I remember somebody was like, "Oh, it would have been better with somebody like some critic was an idiot said, oh, this movie would have been better with like Seagal." And it's like, no, it wouldn't. Berenger's way better because he can act.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not just a straight action role. It's perfect for him. Let him do
It's
it.
like Lean on Me meets like fucking like if he was a professional killer. Like I love the blending of the genres, the
Yes,
uplifting.
it's
It's actually like uplifting high school drama,
yeah.
and then like let's go kill everybody.
I know. It's like I know. It's like Dangerous Minds meets.
Well, like the hero teacher thing, or like Lean on Me. You know,
Yeah.
like if he was, or do you ever see the principal.
Oh
Trying to
man.
get, I'm actually trying to get an interview with Jim Belushi for his weed, and I'm gonna ask him about the principal.
You know what I was hoping? I was hoping we'd get more cameos in this. Like
Well, I mean, you got William Atherton.
we got William Atherton.
Big mistake they made though is not having him and Venkman like verbally spar.
Right. They should have done that. I thought we would get, at least more. I thought we'd get like some Rick Moranis or Sigourney or something, or just
I
something.
don't think Rick Moranis is going to do it. I think he's done. I think he's finished acting. I don't think he wants to. I
Yeah,
think he's.
I'm sure that's the case, but I thought they would have awarded him out for just for this or something.
He gave
I
a
was
great.
very happy to see Janine get suited up. I love Annie Potts and I
She
love
still looks good too. I always
yeah.
liked Rating Pods. There,
I,
she,
I've
there's,
always
there,
had, I've always had a crush on Annie Potts. So
me too. There's she's really hot in Who's Harry Crumb actually, which is a
oh
terrible movie.
yeah, oh, yeah, it's bad.
It's awful. I tried watching it again not long ago and it's like unwatchable. But my buddy was like, no, it's good. I'm like, it's not good. It's
So it's not.
fucking bad. But oh, what was I gonna say though? So Rick Moranis, if ever you want to listen to it, he did a great interview on the Nerdist a couple of years ago, where he kind of like they asked him about that, like doing
Nerdist
like
never heard of it.
yeah. But he just basically talked about how like he just doesn't want to act anymore. Like it's just like he doesn't have any ill feelings towards anything.
Yeah.
He's just not interested.
Sometimes you get tired of things, like I
Yeah.
got tired of Funkos. Sometimes you just get tired of things.
You just got tired of them. That's why you sold them.
I got yeah, that's the way it is for everything with me though.
So
Like
when we go to CinemaCon, so when we go to Comic Con, you're not going to the Funko thing, and you're not going to like
all
take
right,
back.
so
Get some
I've gotten
Funkos.
rid of 90% of my Funkos. I
Yeah.
still have my wrestling Funkos. I still have my X-Men Funkos. And that's basically it. I still got my Kill Bill and my Scott Pilgrim Funkos.
Wow, you must have made
So,
good money from selling your Funkos, though.
so I honestly I gave most of them to charity. I gave them away. I
Really?
still have a lot here in boxes that are being sold now. So,
Mhm.
but so if we go to Comic Con, I will still look, but I'll be looking for those specific things only. And if they cost too much, I just won't get them. Although, you
Nice.
know what I've discovered? I lost my Go-Go Funko.
Oh,
Go-Go.
from Kill Bill. Oh
I
wow.
lost. It's gone. I have no idea where it is.
I don't know if you'll ever be able to get another one of those.
That's hard. I know. It was hard. It was hard for
Wow.
me to find the bride years ago. It was hard to find her. It was hard to find Bill. But I
That's
got
what's great about those Funkos is that they really do limited runs on them, right? I've still got my
yeah.
James.
I'm sure I can find Go-Go somewhere. I'm sure if I go online, I can find it. But I don't want to pay a fortune for it. I'm like, there's nowhere it could be. It's just
I
gone.
just got one actually. Paul Shirey. He just gave me this one. You see this Moonraker Funko?
Yeah, I've seen that. I
Yeah.
don't know who Paul Shirey is. He sounds like a loser.
I guess you love him.
Anyway, I was thinking about Comic Con. I should skip it and go to Star Wars Celebration in Japan.
It's in Japan.
It's in Japan next.
Wow, we're not getting invited to that one for Disney. I don't think they don't have the money for that. If it was in Anaheim, sure we get invited. But if it's not, if
We can go
it's
to
in Japan,
D23. We can go D23. You want to do that instead?
I'm gonna both. We're probably gonna do both. I'm not interested in D23. I'm gonna send somebody to D23, but I'm just like for me, it's like ugh, I don't like I'm not crazy about the Marvel stuff anymore. Comic Con I'm excited for because there'll be other stuff there. The Marvel stuff I'm just kind of.
But the Star Wars stuff will be there too.
I mean, like Mandalorian and Grogu. I feel like the Daisy Ridley movie's
But
not
they're
ever gonna
starting to,
happen.
yeah, but they're starting to crank up the movies again. So now would be a
Yeah.
good time to go. I don't know. I'm not so sure that Comic Con. I don't know if Comic Con is going to bounce back or not. I have no idea.
Hard to say. Hard to say. It was a bad timing last year. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's going to be like, yeah, we're definitely coming back. I'm not hearing that yet.
D23 is weeks after too.
I
Like
know.
that's like oof.
I don't know if Comic Con's going to bounce back the way it was. Somebody was just asking me the other day, are you going to Comic Con? And I was like, I don't know. They got to make me want to go. A friend of mine who has a panel there every year at Comic Con, she moved her panel over to WonderCon. So,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
who knows,
Well,
man? But Joe Blow wants to move on
I'm
to
sure. I'm sure I'm sure that that's the plan. So yeah, we'll touch base on that later.
Yeah. Anyway, so we talked about Roadhouse and Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. What's your overall feeling on Ghostbusters Empire before we get out of here? Is that a
I
recommend?
liked it. I mean, I gave it a 6 when I saw it originally, and I think I was probably too mean. I probably would have given it a 7, not much higher than that. But yeah, if you like, it's Ghostbusters. They put on the proton packs. You'll have a good time. You're
Yeah,
not going to come out of it and you're not going to be like, what the hell was that? Like you'll have fun. Same thing with Roadhouse. You'll have fun with both those movies. They're
yeah.
not amazing, but you'll have fun with them.
Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was a much better for me. I gave it a 4 out of 5 in my review, so it'd be about an 8 out of 10
Oh,
in your
wow.
scale.
You, that's
I
pretty high.
really liked it. I had a ton of fun, and I'm supposed
Um,
to go see it again this weekend with some friends, and so we'll see how I feel about it after a second viewing. But upon
last
first
weekend
viewing,
I went to
really liked
see
it.
last weekend I went to see David Lynch's Dune. I took an edible and went to see David Lynch's Dune.
Oh wow, how'd that work out?
It was terrifying.
I went with a friend to see Love Lies Bleeding again because she hadn't seen it.
It's a good movie.
I still like it the second time
Me
around,
too.
so I was happy
Me
about
too.
that. Yeah, I mean, it's really great, and I actually like it better the second time, I think, or at
I
least
could see
at least
myself liking it more the second time as well.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, all right, well, that's Roadhouse and Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. We both recommend both films, so go and check those out this week. A lot of options this week. After
And Godzilla next week.
hey, Godzilla next week, I'm so not excited for that movie, at all.
The problem is it's coming out on the heels of the best Godzilla
That's
movie
Godzilla.
ever. So how are you going to compare? Like
I'm,
it's not going to be as good. So
I'm
it's
at
like
Godzilla overload. Basically, at this point, I'm kind of like,
and it's just like how do you follow up
really,
-1 though? Like it's really tough, you
it
know?
looks really stupid.
Well, and it costs like 5 times as much or probably more, and it's like you don't need all that. And when you see Godzilla -0, like that's the thing. Like it's simple. You could just go way more, I don't know. We'll see.
Can you believe that first Godzilla that kicked off the MonsterVerse is 10 years old this year?
So was that 10 years ago? Do
2014, yo.
you know Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind turned 20 the other day?
Shut the hell up. I know,
The
I know,
first Ice
I know it's
Age
true, but shut up.
22? The first Ice Age 22 years old? Isn't that crazy?
No, I have a thing with all that like movie anniversaries on it. It just kills me when I look at it.
Yeah, yeah, it's Joe Blow. It's us. It's crazy. I look at them, I'm like, my God, this can't be right. I always think it's a mistake, and I'm always going to give the guy who does them shit. And then it's like, oh no, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. I know. It's crazy how time flies. All right, folks, this has been Cinema Royale. I am Travis Thompson. That is my homie Chris Bumbray at JoeBull.com. Go and check them out. We love them here at Punch Drunk Critics. I don't say that much,
And
but
you'll hear your voice all the time on it too.
you'll hear my voice on some stuff too. Yes, you will. Thanks again, everybody. I will see you again next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.